Live, here we go. Master Spas, 4 p.m. Eastern. Sound check. We've got a new microphone and it was tricky to get started properly. Who do we got? Who do we got? 2 people? Sound is good. All right,
Awesome.
Very good, very good. So we're gonna leave a few seconds and get some people on here, some more people on here. Hey mama, love you. Richard Markovich on first. Sean, what's up, man? 21 people. Cheryl. Philly. Melanie, thank you. Hi, Susan. 26. All right. Oh, there's a bunch more popping on now. All right. Keep them coming. We'll give a few seconds before we get started. Kim. This does not look like Kona. It does not feel like Kona either.
It is not Kona. We're back in our H2X Challenger 15 in our warehouse here. Definitely not as exciting as Kona.
She doesn't sound too excited, does she? That was probably the least excited I have heard you since all
I
of
can't
this.
believe someone said that.
It was Kim.
Kim,
Yeah.
thanks a lot.
Okay. So today what we're going to talk about are the 5 most asked questions.
Or
right?
typically asked questions. About owning a swim spa.
Yep. And then we've got a bunch of questions. And then Huntsville, Alabama. Sweet. We've got a bunch of questions that are going to come in. We're going to watch the screen. We've got a new microphone, so the sound should be better.
Hopefully.
Should be better. Every time we go high tech, it doesn't work. It falls in the water, fails, hot failure. So we're gonna try it today. So the new and then we have a little suggestion.
Oh yes,
you want to talk about that?
Sure. We maybe we'll mention this again later on in the video too. But if we know that lots of people are watching that have a Master Spa swim spa, and we'd love for you to post a picture of your amazing installs in the comments. Ben and I travel a lot for work, so you never know. We might just be able to stop by sometime with some swag to some of the most amazing installs. So again, if you've got some really neat swim spa installs and you are able to post in the comments today, that would be amazing. We'd love to see them, and you never know, we might be able to stop by with some neat Master Spa swag.
Yep. So now that travel is kind of starting again, we're definitely traveling more. Normally we travel a tremendous amount. And Jarrett, I saw Leslie pop on there too. So the names are just kind of popping up now. Hi Leslie, hi Jarrett. But if you've got an install, we'd like to see it in the comments. Go ahead and post it, and then and we'll comment obviously on there. But if we happen to be around and we can connect with you, we'd like to come out and we'll take care of you with some swag. All right.
You never know, we might be able to do a really cool Facebook Live there.
Yep.
Sometime.
Yep, that's right. And that was Susan's idea. She really has good ideas. Actually,
really does.
I think it was Susan's idea. She could have got it from anyone in the team.
The Master Spa's marketing team is really awesome.
They really are fantastic.
We need to give them some props.
So our backup on all this stuff. So we're remote. Just in case you guys are, I think you're aware of this. This is our warehouse, and then we're remote. So literally, Zach is our guru when it comes to video and audio. He sent us this microphone, and I was having difficulty, to say the least, getting it going. My brother is a musician, and he's saying, I don't know if that's the right one. And I know he's really bright, so I'm thinking we just have the wrong one. And then we were able to kind of hammer it out, and now we have it working. So we're in pretty good shape now. So we've got all the questions to talk about.
Yep.
Meanwhile, we still want you to say where you're from. Even if you already said hello, it's okay. You can just kick your town on there and comment again. And also a picture of your install if you can. That would be awesome. We'd love to see all those on there. And so would everyone else. So one of the biggest things, and I'm sure she'll back me up even if I say something stupid. So that's what partners do. So if, when people are getting ready to install these, they love to see the pictures. And we have definitely lots of pictures that we show customers. But, it's one thing when Middlebury, Connecticut, Alan, my mother lives there. So anyway, they like to see each other. They're real, and that's why these lives work well. That's why people like them. They can ask us questions real time. It's real. This is real. This isn't prepared in a, you know, if you could see how precariously perched this iPad is, it could fall in the water. And I'm trying not to touch anything on that side of the swim spa so that doesn't happen. I mean, this is real, this is raw, and that's why it works. So those pictures from you guys for each other, we love it. It's great, okay? And everyone loves to see it, including us. Okay? So how do you want to start?
Well, actually, in fact, we had a question. I think it's in your pile. And I think it was from John in Ohio, who asks you, like, what your most... Nope.
John in Florida.
John in Ohio.
John in Ohio?
Yes, yeah.
Is that OTT or OH?
OH.
Okay, could be Ottawa.
So it's, what does the question say?
This is from John in Ohio. What's the most impressive indoor design you've seen around a swim spa and why?
Time's out for 1 second. We promise we will get to the 5 most asked questions, but an install is always one of them.
Always.
So we just wanted to talk about posting your pictures, and that made me think of this question, which Ben can give his opinion because he definitely sees some really neat installs.
I have one in particular. I believe we have a dealer in Israel. It's Israel.
I think so.
And their specialty is the floor. And I know that if you've looked at swim spas, you've seen this, just didn't know where it was. We have a dealer in Israel who is amazing. And their floor goes brrr, like that.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So most amazing indoor design I've ever seen around a swim spa, and why is that one, and because it is a baller's install. So literally the floor goes like this.
And then underneath. And
then covers the swim spa, and you can walk on it. And then when you open it, you press a button and it goes brrr, and it's really amazing. Cool. Yeah. So I don't need, and I've never seen it in person. I've only seen video. I've only seen pictures. It's absolutely stunning to me. To me, if I mean they're obviously their budget is pretty sick, and but it is the most impressive thing I have ever seen with swim spas indoors for sure. Number 2, the Michael Phelps Skill Center that there used to be in Maine. They had 4 swim spas in a row, and in the back end, the commercial plumbing and filtration job that went in there was exceptionally impressive, but that was like on the nerd end of things, not the glamorous, amazing looking install. So that was I like that because I'm actually an undercover nerd, and that's it. Okay,
yeah.
Your turn.
Okay, so one of the questions that we get asked a lot is, let me choose one. Can I really swim in it in the winter? And then actually that'll be a good segue into how is it different than swimming in a pool. But yes, the claim to fame of these swim spas, and especially Master Spa swim spas, because of how well it's insulated, is that they're year-round use. So for us who live in northeast, in the northeast where the winters are terrible, we can only get maybe 3 to 4 months out of the year for a swimming pool if you're lucky. And with a swim spa, you can use it all year round because you can set the temperature to whatever temperature you like to swim in. And it's so well insulated that it's not going to cost you a lot to keep heated all year round. The only thing that you will have to do is if it snows, you will have to sweep the snow off the cover because the cover actually seals the swim spa, so there's no heat escape, so you won't have any melting of the snow. So you will need to, shovel out a path and wipe off the top. But yes, you can swim in it, and we love for you to swim in it all year round. And if you have any pictures of you swimming in it all year round, we'd love to see those too. So that's what they're made for, being able to swim in the winter, in the summer, all year round in the Master Spa swim spa. So yes.
Okay. So then my first question here, this is one of the main questions. How is swim spa different from a pool? So that's a big answer. So we'll use broad brushstrokes here. Initially, a pool, we're assuming we're talking about an in-ground pool. Above ground pools, you can buy a, $500 one that, the wind blows and it falls down. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean a pool versus a swim spa that's actually built to withstand, believe it or not all swim spas are created equal, and they some are better outside in the winter than others. We build ours for worst case scenario. People who build them for best case scenario.
Some are also made specifically for swimming,
and some for indoors.
Right.
Right.
Where master spas, they're made specifically for year-round use, in the wintertime, in the worst of the temperatures, and specifically for being able to swim in them.
Right. So from a legal perspective, a pool, typically is going to require property taxes on the home. You're going to have insurance increase on the house. You're going to have fencing laws. All that stuff is in play just before you even talk about actually using it. Whereas a swim spa, you don't have that. And for we have a UL listed safety cover that protects you from all of that part, from the fencing stuff. The insulation is made for year round. So just initially, as long as you're in your setbacks and if you're in an HOA, there's no height thing that they're going to mess with you on, you really can't be stopped from putting a swim spa in. It's pretty challenging for them to, stop you from doing it. This is portable. So it's a whole different legal designation. On top of that, you've got, you can make this a hot tub. You can make it whatever temperature you want. We've got I'm thinking about Mark's wife.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got this woman, and she is a maniac with a capital M, swims 1 hour every day, rain or shine, snow, sleet, doesn't care. She's an absolute machine. Okay, so I'm just reading the questions to see if they pertain to us. So anyway, she'll sometimes wear a little wetsuit and hop in like that because it's cold. I mean, it's 15, 20 degrees outside. She's getting in. The water's warm, but while she's outside, she might have like a triathlon wetsuit and all that stuff. So it is, there's lots of different ways you can do it. But essentially, legally, it's very different from a pool with all of that nonsense. Not that it's nonsense, but it's nonsense. Us being told what we can or can't do in our own yard, and which I kind of like to think of that as nonsense. And compared to this, where it really doesn't have any of those controls placed upon it from the powers that be. And then, of course, you're actually using it year-round, and there you go. Next.
That question that's next there for you.
This one?
Yep. That kind of is a good way to talk about the difference between swimming in a swim spa and swimming in a pool.
Oh, okay.
And I think that just kind of is a good...
You want to do this now?
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
Okay. So, the question is from Delia in California. We've had questions from Delia before.
I believe so, too.
I think we've had.
Yeah.
Delia, you have a unique name. And let's see. How is the swim spa swimming experience different than swimming in a regular pool? Is it like a treadmill that it is easier since the belt assists with leg turnover? What other differences are there? It is not easier. It's the opposite. It's harder. Okay.
So much harder.
So when you swim in a swim spa and you get strong like that, put hair on your chest. It's harder. It's awesome. So, not really. That's not true. Is that true?
No.
Okay.
I don't have any hair.
So what happens in the swim spa, as you're swimming, you're swimming in a great big box of water, and that water is slowing down a little bit by the time it gets to your feet. We'll say these are your feet and this is your head. All right, by the time the water gets down here, it's slowing down, so it requires a little more buoyancy, it requires a little more core engagement, so it's a little harder. There's also no wall to turn around. So very good swimmers are typically good at flip turns, and when they flip turn, they actually have a reduction in heart rate. Okay? Spanky, what's up, man? I saw that pop up. So they have a drop in heart rate at the wall on their flip turn. You don't get any breaks in here. It's straight out. It's like open water swimming with no break. Okay? So it is really, it is definitely harder for multiple reasons. One, it is physically harder because of the required extra work from your core and the rotation and all that. And then it is also, there's no break at all. Okay, so it is a little harder. Typically, people who swim normal, then they come in a swim spa. They practice in a swim spa, go back in the pool. They're a much better swimmer afterwards. When it comes from to racing to just swimming recreationally, all of that stuff. So it's definitely harder, not easier.
you're like swimming upstream and you're trying to stay in place with this massive amount of water that's basically trying to push you to the back of the swim spa. And so you have to control yourself to stay in place, which is kind of different than running on a treadmill where like the belt is actually kind of keeping you in place. But in the swim spa, it's all you, it's all your strength, and I promise you, it is not as easy as running on a treadmill.
Definitely not.
Even a hard run.
Yeah, definitely not. Okay.
Yeah. You're smelling the Sharpie.
No, I'm not. I don't know where we got these cards from. They smell like bacon bits.
I think it's the Sharpie.
That's not the Sharpie. They're like scratch and sniff index cards. It's not the Sharpie.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Next question. You?
Next question that we get a lot is, what is the temperature set to? And the greatest thing about a swim spa is that it's whatever you want it to be. That's what I think is so great about it. So basically the temperature in a swim spa is very similar to that in a hot tub, because a swim spa is considered a giant hot tub. The heat will go anywhere from 80 to 104 usually, and personally I like to keep it at 88, 89 even when I'm swimming really hard, because I'm a complete wimp in the cold water. So that's what I love. I can keep it where I like it. Some people want to swim at 80, and if you're using it for other things other than swimming, like exercising, you might want to keep it, in the 90s, low 90s. But that's what's so great about it. You can set the temperature to whatever you want for whatever purpose you're using it for.
As a point of interest, if anybody's curious, currently this water is a wonderful 92 degrees. We did that because we can. All right, next question. John in Florida. If planning to build a deck, it's all starting. It's all this aging stuff is not cool. This all starting. I don't have readers yet, but they're coming. Gage, what's up, man? So if planning to build a deck around a swim spa, what measurements should we plan for? Surface access panels, room to remove cover, recommended spa height versus decking height. All right. So these are my opinions and my opinions only, and I have overseen and been part of
lots,
a vast amount of installs, so I have my beliefs. And so first of all, the deck height. I like chair height. Okay, everybody comes in and it needs to be sunk all the way down so it looks like a pool, blah, 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 blah. It's not a pool. Okay, it's not a pool, not meant to be. So I want you to listen to this. When you have it sunk, these aren't like stairs at a pool. They're a little smaller. So you come up these stairs. If that deck is the same height as the top of the swim spa, you're going to end up doing this little hands and knees thing. There's nothing to hold on to as you stand up. Whereas if it's chair height, you can come up these steps, sit your tush on the edge, and spin around, and then have that 18 to 24 inches on the other side, just like a chair height. It's much easier to get in and out of. Next, let's say you had a back deck. I don't know what that was.
Something fell off the steps.
So we'll get back to that. So next thing, if you have a back deck, and in Florida I realize it's very flat, so it may not be the situation, but in the Northeast, certainly you have sloping, then you have a back deck, and then the swim spa next to it. So if you put the swim spa 2 feet above the deck surface, and then you can get rid of the railing and you can sit your butt on the outside and spin in. It works really, really well for use. Okay, so then from there, the next thing I want to point out is if you had it sunk all the way down to that flat surface at the edge of that deck and you had a party and the cover were open, nobody would go near the swim spa. They would all stand 6 or 8 feet away because they don't want to fall in there. If they're having a cool beverage and they have their back to it, they don't want to fall in. Whereas if it's 2 feet above, you'll have people that will sit all along the swim spot and it'll become part of the party. So if you sink it too low on the edge of a deck, it's actually going to decrease your usable, part of that deck. And you also don't want people to walk on the cover. I mean, it is a safety rated cover, but if a great big person or multiple people go dancing in the middle of it, you're going to break it. Okay, so for me, 2 feet above is awesome to actually use. All right, next thing in there for service, working in a crawl space underneath the deck is no problem. So this swim spa here is 5 feet tall. let's say we put it on flat ground and we did a deck up 3 feet, and then there was 2 feet sticking up above the decking surface. That crawl space with 3 feet underneath it is plenty for us to get in and service. We have a gazillion of them installed that way. It works really well for getting in and out of, and for service is absolutely no problem. That's my favorite. So if you have the deck on all 4 sides, 3 feet, 2 feet of the swim spa exposed, absolute favorite. I wonder if I can post, I have a picture of an install that's exactly what I'm talking about. I should be able to put it in the comments later on.
Yeah.
Obviously can't do it now, but those are what I'm talking about. All right, I think that covers it.
And that's a good segue into a question that one of the top 5 questions that we get a lot about swim spas is, can it be put in the ground? And we've talked about this a lot in previous Facebook Lives, but it can, except you can't backfill against it, so you need to have a vault built where the swim spa goes in, and Ben always has the same recommendations with the vault, is to have the swim spa sticking up 2 feet, again, for the same reason that we just discussed. And the vault itself needs to be 2 feet longer and wider on all sides of the swim spa for serviceability, which is a little bit different than putting it on the ground with a deck around it. Someone needs to be able to get to all 4 sides when it's inside the vault, and you also need to have some kind of drainage installed in case it rains and you don't want that pit to fill with water. So yes, it absolutely can be built, put in the ground. It is a big undertaking. It's a big project. They do look amazing, and maybe if anybody has a picture of one in a vault and you're watching, you could post one of your amazing installs. That would be great.
Actually, it keeps reminding me of Craig in Guam.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah. So we have a customer, Craig. He lives in Guam, and which is super remote. If you've never actually looked at where that is on a map, look at it. It is far, far away. Everything there is 4 times as hard as anywhere else in the world. It's significantly more challenging than even Hawaii. He is an awesome guy, and he took every recommendation. I mean, he did extra drainage. They did an amazing vault job. Gorgeous, gorgeous install. And just, I want everyone to know, and he and I did speak about this in the beginning. If something happens and that vault fills with water for any reason, it's going to be a problem. Okay, and unfortunately, they had a crazy flash flood there somewhat recently, and his vault, the drains and I think he's either got huge drains or backup pumps on top of drains.
Okay.
I mean, he did it 100%, best job you could do, and it still filled up with water, and it tanked a bunch of his mechanicals, and we're hashing that out with him now and getting him new parts he needs to get it up and running. That was when we used the sump pump to fake the circulation. We came up with some neat ideas. Our customer service is working with him, and he is remote. There is not a dealership in Guam. We are working like mad to get him up and running, and he's just the greatest guy. What a beautiful, beautiful install. But just keep in mind, if something happens, it's still possible to rain hard enough to overwhelm those drains, and that it just is possible still, even when it's done correctly. And I'll tell you what, you couldn't do a better job than this gentleman did, for sure.
Yeah.
One of the most beautiful installs we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
I'm
sorry. I saw a question come up and asked if I could come and do a quote, an estimate. No. I don't know where you live. I don't know if you were talking to me. I'm not sure if you were talking to Master Spas, but I'm very unlikely that it will be if you were asking me. Okay.
I'm going to ask this question. Yes, you are. I'm going to ask this question, and then it's going to lead into some of your questions that you've got coming up. So,
what you got?
One of the top 5 questions that we get about owning a swim spa is it easy to maintain a swim spa?
Yeah.
And we actually did a whole Facebook Live dedicated just to that, and Ben did a phenomenal job of talking about chemicals that you need and how to test things, and but Ultimately, yes. It is really easy to take care of a swim spa, and it's not like having a pool. It doesn't require all of that, but it does require a little bit of time so that you're not spending more time in the back end when things have gone south.
Right.
So if you do things to prevent, like preventatively, it really does work well, and it makes it much easier to take care of a swim spa.
Totally agree.
So,
actually, that was a question from Tamara in California. What chemicals are required? Where do we get them? How often do we put them in? Can we do this ourselves, or do we have to hire a pool company? Does the water need to be replaced, and how often? Wow. So what I want you to do, Tamara, we did a whole entire video only on this question. So rather than rehash that, I'm going to send you searching for that. I want you to go look that up. There is a video on the chemical breakdown, how we do ours, which is not necessarily correct, but works really well for us, versus the authorized official, check alkalinity first and all that stuff. That question just popped away. Someone put a question on there and I couldn't get it in time. So there is an entire live video that we did from our swim spa. We tested it with what we do, but in a nutshell, like Mary said, that's probably the best recipe right there. Is if you do it ahead of time and never let the water get cloudy, it's a breeze to take care of and takes no time. If you don't do anything to it, use it, and then the water starts to get a little cloudy, it takes days to get that stuff out of there. Okay, and it's just the cloudiness in there. You got to start with the alkalinity, then the pH, then the chlorine, and all that stuff. So if you never let it get there, it's much easier. It's like preventative maintenance on a car.
Yeah, and what Ben recommended in that video that we did was to use chlorine at the end of the day that you use the swim spa, and then you want to rinse your filters out about once a month or so. Give them a really good rinse, and yes, you do need to drain and refill the swim spa about once a year, but doing all of those things are kind of like maintaining your blood sugar, like he always says, and then you're not having to test and play with all the other chemicals. So a little bit of chlorine at the end of the day that you use it really helps to maintain the balance of the water.
Yep. Actually, I like the preventative maintenance is much easier. It's much easier to get an oil change in a car than get a new motor when it blows up because you didn't change the oil. It's the same thing. Okay, how's that? That's a keeper. We're gonna use that from now on. All right. So, are you up or am I up?
Well, there's one other question that someone asked about pH. I think that
is it mine?
Yeah. That one.
This one.
Yeah.
Since our spa delivery, we have had a terrible time getting the pH down. What is the best way to get it down? Rhonda in Florida. So on those tests, you know what I'm thinking? You know what I'm thinking?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know for sure, and I don't want to point fingers, but it's when the pH is rising like that, it could be a sign that somebody is maybe peeing in there. So what you want to do is make sure that that's not happening, because you're just going to fight that. It's actually not that big a deal. I mean, people are horrified. It's actually not that big a deal, and it's pretty easy to deal with. You just have to deal with it. Okay, so there is was it pH down or pH?
I forget
Too. Alkalinity up, alkalinity down, and the pH up and down. You can use, for the one that it's down, might be baking soda.
Yeah, something like that.
It's all in the chemical video, and I definitely want you to look in there. I don't have to do any of that in ours. So if your pH is just going up by itself, it sounds like a bather's load, or maybe someone peeing in there or something like that. So first thing you want to make sure isn't happening is anybody peeing in there. Okay. Next thing, if you're having tons of people in there, you may not just be using enough chlorine afterwards.
Yeah. That's what I was
So
thinking.
it could be that too. If you're having 5 people in there and nobody's having any accidents in there, then it's just the bather load, which is possible too, because humans sweat and urine are actually very similar, so there's no way you could tell the difference if you had a high bather load. If there's one person by themselves going in there, it's a little bit easier to tell, unless you have it on 100 degrees and they're in there for 2 hours a day. That's a different story. Okay, so what I want you to do on that is first check what's going on in there, and then use your test strips. refer back my whole video. I broke the whole thing down. You know, I'm bad like that, remembering which one there's.
I know,
pH.
I can't remember that
I think
either.
it's pH down.
And then you can use,
Because alkalinity up
right.
brings up both pH and alkalinity,
right.
and then there's pH down for pH down. Okay, so just grab some of that too. But until your alkalinity is dialed, and then you dial your pH, and then the chlorine. If you're trying to do the chlorine before those two are dialed, it'll just fight you all the way. So A first, alphabet A first, then the P, then chlorine. Okay? I have it. Oh, I keep missing those. I'm going to see if I can not knock this over and get those questions.
And then I just have one last question that was from Steven in Canada, and he asked, how do you recommend controlling
Can't do it.
the humidity for a swim spa that's indoors? So one of the things, most of the time, the swim spa should be covered, especially when you're not using it. And when the swim spa is covered, since Master Spas makes their own covers if you're using the standard cover, there is no heat or moisture escape. The cover actually seals the swim spa, so you're not going to have any issue with the moisture coming out there. If you have it open a lot while it's inside, or you're using it a lot on the inside, you may need to get, a small dehumidifier for the room, or, some additional ventilation. But for the most part, there is not a lot of moisture that's coming out of it.
Yeah,
Would you agree?
We don't. So ours is inside, and it is a larger room than most people are going to have in their home. This is part of a warehouse. So it is bigger, but when it's closed, it gives off no moisture at all. And we've got, you can see cardboard. Our warehouse is filled with pallets of cardboard boxes. And if you left this open in the summertime when it's really humid out, you can actually feel the dampness on the cardboard boxes. When the cover's closed, it's zero. Yeah. So when the cover's closed, it gives off nothing. There have been times where we left it open, all day. I just popped on, so sorry if already. How long does it take to heat up from the cold? Roughly about 2 degrees an hour. So, just keep the cover closed, and you're really not going to need to do much. But back in the gym, when I had the gym years ago. We had a signature inside my gym, and we used to run when it was open, because we would leave it open all day. We would run a dehumidifier, like a good size portable dehumidifier, and it worked fine. It would strip all that moisture out of the air and handle that. But it's interesting. You could see the windows start to fog on the front of the building when the swim spa was open, unless we were running the air conditioner, which is also dehumidifying, or that separate dehumidifier. So you could actually start to fog up those windows, turn on the dehumidifier, and then watch the fog go away like a defroster in a car. So we know that it worked. It was great. So very, very, very easy though. So when it's open, run the dehumidifier. When you're not using it, just close the covers up, and you're in pretty good shape. Okay.
Yeah.
What else we got? That's a little short.
That was the last of the questions.
So it's kind of hard. I can't see. It won't on the iPad. On the phone, I can actually scroll back and look at the questions, but the iPad won't let me do that. And if I touch it, it's going to fall. But let me try one more time. See if I can get to some of those questions.
And if we don't, we will always go back and answer them.
Don't mind me.
After.
Oh, it's letting me. All right. So I'll try to get my big head out of there in my finger. How about that sweet Garmin 945? Tell them to put their...
Yes, again, if you have pictures of really beautiful installs of your Master Spa swim spas, please post them in the comments. And like I said earlier in the video, Ben and I do travel a lot for work, and you never know, we might be able to stop by and deliver some swag, or even do a really cool Facebook Live from an amazing install. That would be really fun.
Okay, so the question is, which jets on a Challenger 18, beautiful swim spa by the way, okay, so you have on the Challenger, you have 6 swim jets.
Can you read the whole question?
It was, I mentioned which ones help with the leg buoyancy.
Oh, okay.
I don't actually recall saying it like that, but because you have to engage your core to really get that buoyancy on there. But this is for the Challenger 18, so you want to make sure the bottom jets are on so that you're getting the water flowing through. But it's not going to keep your feet up. If you find there's a little fly flying around. If you find that your feet are dropping in the Challenger and all 6 jets are on equally, it's not necessarily a jet problem. You're going to need to strengthen that core, and it just takes some time. So lots of people, in the beginning, they're like, oh, this thing's hard to swim in. What's wrong with it? And it's nothing wrong with the swim spa. It's different from a pool, so it requires the strengthening of some odd muscles. Okay, so definitely keep at it. And remember how to swim in the swim spa. Refer back to that video. Use the toys. I'm a sinker. She's a floater. So she floats like a leaf on top of the water. It sickens me. All right?
I still like to use a pull buoy sometimes, though.
Like a leaf. Shush. Like a leaf on the water. Ridiculous. It's almost disheartening for me because I'm a sinker.
But I will say that when I'm swimming, when the jets are on high for me, and I'm really trying to work on some speed in here, and the jets are on very strong, I do find that it's a lot harder because I'm working on other things other than like engaging my core, and I do feel that my legs sink. So it's normal. It's just a matter of what you're focusing on and strengthening muscles that you're not used to.
Right, because then if you're going faster, you're not focusing on your core and your rotation, and then all of a sudden you're also pulling like crazy because the Challenger 18, you're swimming faster.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, let's see if I can find some other questions in here. All right, sorry about my stupid head in there. Comments. Okay. What do we got? Anything for us? Are any of the models wider than 8 feet?
No. They have to be able to fit on a trailer.
She's not wrong. How heavy is it? Can I put it on a high deck? That's a good question. All right, let's stop. How heavy is it? Can I put it on a high deck? So you can, as long as the deck is built for that weight. Keep in mind, a Trainer 19 deep is 23,000 pounds. Remember we had a silly surgeon in Florida on the beach wanted us to install a dual temp on a deck above a bar, waterfront, and the contractor told him he could put a truck on there. This is far heavier than a truck. Okay, so just have to make sure it's built for that weight. You're going to be 160, 70 pounds per square foot. Yeah, it's heavy. So just do that math out and have, if you're gonna have raised up, personally, if it were me, and I'm sure this is the law, if I were going to have a swimming spa on a raised deck and ever have people underneath it, you're going to need an engineer, an architect to sign off on it, an engineer stamp. You're going to need to do it properly and safely, because just keep in mind that, and this is something that's certainly more in my mind as I'm getting older, nothing is worth anyone ever getting hurt over ever. So just go way on the side of safety, get the engineering stamp, make sure that it's done correctly. If that's the case, absolutely. We do have a dealer that specializes in that.
Yeah.
Should I name names? Can I name names? Crocker in out of Massachusetts and Boston. They are probably some of the most dialed in installers on decks that I have ever seen. So it's absolutely possible, and they are really good at it. So let's see, what else do we have? That's a good question. So you just got to watch that weight. Lots of people watching. Can you come do an estimate? I can't. All right. I'm back pretty far here. I think I got them.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So, a couple things. One, I didn't see any on there, but I'm not sure I would see that on the live. On the comments, post your install pics. We want to see them. We want others to comment. We want to teach each other. We want to show all that stuff. I'm going to pop on later, and I'll put a couple of my favorites on there that we have, that we see all the time. Also, always want to know where you're from. want to see your install pics. The idea is that as things resume to normal, you're going to see, us out and about more places than our glorious warehouse, which I realize is
I can't wait.
it's a lot better than most people's situations. I don't know why you're so negative today. So,
because we were supposed to be in Kona right now.
So anyway, so the travel's going to resume, and if we're around and we're close by, we'd love to come and pop in and see you and maybe do a live video from there and take care of you with some gifts from Master Spas. Okay, so really cool. We are seeing, the lead times are still up there, but they are starting to improve a pinch, and things are looking up. We are hustling,
Yeah.
and that is all getting done. So we are working diligently to catch, up to where we want to be, which is really, we're hustling. So, again, dealerships, if you've reached out, reach out again. Bug them again. If it took a time and they didn't get back to you, I promise you their phone is ringing,
non-stop,
75 times a day instead of, 12. So hit them again. Nobody's perfect, and nobody was prepared to be underneath Niagara Falls, which is essentially what's happened to us. Okay, so I guess that's it.
Yep. And we will see you in 2 weeks, Wednesday, October 21st.
Yep.
Back to 4 o'clock normal time Eastern for Facebook Live in 2 weeks.
Right on.
So we'll see you then. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, I wet my hands. I have to dry my hands. Okay.
Have a good night.
Good night, everybody. See you in 2
2
weeks.
weeks.
Let's see if I can finish that.